case, it seems like it has to actually exist, and that's what they mean by existential import. And so when we go down and look at the modern revision of the square, where we're starting to use the kind of symbolic logic that Frege and Bertrand Russell and others started to create. Every S is P, that's what this means. For anything you pick, if it's S, then it's P. No S is P. For anything you pick, if it's S, then it's not P. Some S is P. There exists something that is both S and P. And there, some S is not P. There exists something that is both S and not P, right? So that's just a symbolic representation for that. But notice that the concern is that the relationship that Aristotle has to be corrected in the modern version of it, because we don't have this kind of relationship. So when someone says something, I'm going to be late tomorrow. If you show up tomorrow on time, I will be surprised, because you said you were going to be late tomorrow. So everything that is you will be late, the next day. Okay, thanks for letting me know. And then you show up on time, I'd be like, whoa. I'd be like, isn't that how we say that now? I'd be like, whoa, dude, you're here. I thought you were going to be late. Ah, yes, I thought I was going to be late, but my appointment was canceled. Etc. I had an appointment at the Undertaker to be embalmed, and it was canceled because I was still alive, so I couldn't go. They wouldn't embalm me because I was still breathing. Oh, okay. Something to do with, their insurance.
When right above there it says like the symbolic representation, but is not the sentence already the symbolic representation for?
Absolutely. Yeah. Theoretically, when you're uttering a sentence, you meant something, and if I were speaking English, I would put it into some English phraseology, which is an utterance that's basically a symbol of whatever you meant to communicate. And if we write it down, of course, we have another version of that, and so on. So yes, that's an interesting problem and creates paradoxes. And part of that is because of human language's ability to use recursion, and that's thanks to Noam Chomsky. And recursion that's math, but basically the same thing happens in English and any human language, according to Noam Chomsky. There are some folks that argue with him, of course. That's an issue. There are apparently some languages that don't seem to have recursion, and that's what we might call primitive or primal languages that have not had much interaction with other cultures and so on. But in any case, there's your example of recursion. Here's the box for hot chocolate, I guess, or whatever this is, and you can see the picture of the box on it, and notice there's the recursive image of the same picture being reproduced. And you can imagine if you could see the box on that nun's tray, it would continue. Same thing that the mirror effect, when you have two mirrors in the room and you go in, whoa, how many of me can I see, right? But we can do the same thing in language. I just said we can do the same thing in language. I just said we can do the same thing in language. We can do, and I just said we can do the same thing in language. How far can you take that, right? So that seems to be an interesting aspect of language that helps lead us to this paradox. Nothing is true. Is that true? How do we get out of that, right? By the way, there is supposedly an escape route, and that is the theory of types. And so what happens is you can look at how these paradoxes develop, and Russell's attempt to get out of this was to say, well, when I say nothing is true, and then you ask me, is that true? Well, the Russellian answer to that would be to say that when I'm saying nothing is true, I'm talking about the set of all statements at a different type. So the statement nothing is true is not on the same level as the statements that I'm talking about, and so it's not self-referring, right? So if you're doing a code thing, you have techniques, I presume, that enable you to prevent the computer from creating paradoxes that kill astronauts. HAL, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Sorry. I'm crushed. Okay. That HAL, which by the way is one letter off IBM. IBM? IBM is a company. There was a computer named HAL.
Four years ago, Alaska voted for open primaries and to outlaw dark money, giving voters the...
You read me, Hal? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
What are you talking about, Hal?
This